Visitors to the Isle of Skye are often surprised at the size of the island and how long it takes to drive from the bridge at Sligachan to the island's main town of Portree. It's a long drive, but well worth it, for there are a few more scenic drives in Scotland. And last week, Gina and I went to visit friends on Skye, and I stuck the GoPro on the windscreen to record one of the best sections of the drive, that part from Broadford to Sligachan. We've left Broadford behind and we're just entering the village of Strolamus. Not a lot here today, but there are something like 30 old houses here in various stages of ruin, suggesting that a couple of hundred years ago this tiny village would have been considerably larger. Sadly, depopulation is not an unusual feature in places like the Isle of Skye and many other places in the Highlands. Rounding the Loch we're heading west now alongside Loch Ainort, with the big hills of the Red Coolen, Marsco, the Jerrigs and Glamig beckoning us onwards. This is the village of Lewib, another depopulated village nestled in the shadow of Glasbenvoor. Past Sloob now, and ahead of us to the left are the slopes of Bellig and Garavan, two more of the great Red Coolen peaks. The road crosses pretty bleak moorland now, typical of the landscape that ecologist Frank Fraser-Darling once described as being a wet desert. It'd be lovely just to see a few trees dotted here and there, it'd make all the difference. Just about to start climbing now over the shoulder of the Broadford and Sligachan of Bencherrig, past the big waterfalls of the Alt Corrin and Broadford. The car park on the right is usually busy with photographers, so be careful here. Some of them just kind of wander across the road willy-nilly, forgetting that cars use it too. It's a long pull to the summit, but the views to the right down to Loch Ainort are terrific. Soon we're rounding the bends below Glamig and Bencherrig Vor, a spectacular section of the journey. On the big descent we get our first views of the Store and the Trotternish Hills away in the far distance. And this is Sconcer, where you catch the ferry to the island of Rassie, birthplace of the great Gaelic poet Sorley MacLean. And of course Sconcer itself was the birthplace of one of Scotland's early mountain guides, John Mackenzie, but more of him later. Sadly, as we approach Sligachan and the hoped for views of the Black Cuillin, big clouds have begun to build up, and I guess we ain't going to see that well-known view of Scourn and Gillian and Basture and Bruch na Fria, the antlered Cuillin as Sorley MacLean once described them. Not to worry, a wee stop at Sligachan gives us the opportunity to take a look at the new sculptures of two of the Cuillin's greatest mountaineers, Professor Norman Colley and his local guide John Mackenzie of Sconcer. Colley was a noted Victorian scientist, the inventor of the neon light amongst other things, and he and Mackenzie, well, they built up a wonderful climbing partnership and indeed became the first climbers to actually map the Cuillin. There were certainly other mountaineers climbing here before Colley and Mackenzie, and there were other climbing guides too, but the relationship between these two men became more than just a guide and client relationship. They became firm friends for the rest of their lives, and indeed they lie side by side in the strewn graveyard, just along the road from Sligachan. I'm really sorry we missed the great view from the Sligachan Bridge, but instead let me show you some images of what we may have missed.